Thank you so much, Slava, for joining us on the podcast today. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
So just to start off, I really want to just open up the floor to you to be able to tell your story. Because when I first met you, you told me your background, and it was just very inspiring and impressive. So share it with our audience.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here. So when we initially met at the coffee shop, you know a little bit of my story, but I came to the United States when I was 8 years old. This was 1998, with my mom and dad and my younger brother. My parents came with just a couple $100s in their pocket, lived in an apartment with multiple families. It was definitely a humbling beginning, and seeing my parents go through that struggle and then working so hard, I think, is what got me here, and motivated me throughout the things that I've been through, or the things that I've done. I started working, my first job was carpet cleaning when I was 14 years old. And that was exciting for me. They were paying me $12.50 an hour, and that was a lot for a 14-year-old.
Yeah, yes. That actually is, especially back then.
Yeah, and it motivated me because I had something of my own. So that was the first time I kind of tasted that money, and I loved it, and it was definitely motivating me to do more. So we would go to school, and then we'd get rides to a clinic in Maple Grove, and we would carpet wash until late at night, and then go home and go back to school, do our homework, and do it all over again.
Did you do this with your brother?
Right. So me and my brother first started. Eventually, we did carpet cleaning, and then we ended up getting the cleaning of the clinic. So janitorial work.
Okay.
And then my parents got involved as well. So it was something that we were all doing after work or after school as a family. And even way before that, one of my mom's first jobs was cleaning houses. So we would go on weekends and help her. So we had some practice in cleaning already.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that for a couple of years after school, working, we ended up getting more cleaning janitorial jobs. We had one in Blaine and one in St. Paul. We'd do that with my brother. My parents would come and help most of the time, just so we can finish faster, get to our homework, and go to school. I did that all through high school, and once I graduated high school, I said, well, why can't we be the owners of a cleaning company?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to work for somebody?
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and started an LLC.
At the age of 18?
At the age of 18, I went to probably over 20 different commercial buildings talking to project managers and asking them if we could take over their buildings. Most of them were fails, but we did get some jobs here and there, so it was motivating. Most of it was no's, which was fine. I think that helped me prepare me for later on in life as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes easy.
Yeah, and handling that rejection, and I mean, that's straight door-to-door cold calling, right? So.
Right, and I was young, so a lot of them just brushed me off, and they're like, who is this kid trying to get a contract to clean a big commercial building, right? So that was my first self-business motivated, flyers, door knocking, having conversations, not knowing what I'm doing, but I was motivated to start something.
Mm-hmm. Figuring it out as you go.
Correct. Throughout that time, during high school and after high school, I would buy cars from the auction, and this is something my dad did when we first came to America as well, to make some extra money on the side. So he would buy them from auction, fix them himself, and sell them. So I dabbed into that a little bit. So I would buy a car or two while I drive it, clean it, fix it, and sell it. And I made, $2,000-$3,000 profit at 16, 17, 18, 19, I was very happy. Also enjoying those nice cars while you drive them and then selling them,
Right.
making a profit. So I was always driving a nice car for my age.
Yeah.
But they were investments.
Yeah.
So doing that, after high school, I got a scholarship to to Notre Dame for 2-year college, paid for
That's
soccer,
awesome.
which I presented to my parents. And being the oldest child in the family, my mom didn't like the idea of me leaving the state.
Yeah.
So my second idea was, okay, well, if my parents don't agree, or my mom she just didn't want me to leave. I wanted to fly jets. So that was my second option. College was not an option at that point. I didn't like studying, although I was really good at it and I got pretty good grades. I did not want to be stuck for another 4 years in school. So when I presented that I want to go in the Air Force and, potentially fly jets, she freaked out again.
Yes. I could imagine.
So at that point, I looked at what are my other options. So I went to Minnesota School of Business and I signed up I asked them, what's the best paying job that I can graduate with the fastest? And that was because my parents did sacrifice a lot to come to this country. So getting an education was something that was huge for them.
And very important.
Right.
Yes.
So I did online college just so I can continue to work. Eventually, the cleaning business and doing that every night, eventually we got bid out, so we weren't able to get paid as much as we needed to keep that business or keep doing that. So I got a job in transportation, so it's medical transportation. So at the time, my uncle and my dad was working transportation, so they got me into a transportation company where you would drive people to and from appointments.
Doctor appointments,
Right.
okay.
And this was at the age of 20. You're supposed to be 21 to work there. Somehow they approved me regardless. Hopefully they're not listening.
Yeah. Don't say the company's name.
Nope. So that was an experience. It was waking up at 4 a.m. It was minimum of 12 hours days.
Wow.
Most times it was 16-hour days, Monday through Friday and most Saturdays. So it was hard.
And you were going to online college at this time.
Correct.
Okay.
I was doing online college, and everything I made, I would pay the college. So trying not to have debt.
Were you still working on cars in the background too of this?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. Busy guy.
Multiple cars. I always had more than one car, either getting fixed or we're buying or flipping. And then eventually my brother as well. So between the both of us, we had multiple cars always buying and selling. And it was just something that we loved to do. We didn't even consider it as a job. It was just fun for us, and we enjoyed the cars themselves as guys.
Yes.
So, transportation, it was a tough job. I did that for from 2021 and 2013. So in 2013, I got married to my beautiful wife, Nellie, still doing transportation. We gave birth to my son, Jace, in 2015. Our daughter, Ellie, in 2017. And in 2017 or 16, we decided to build a house. So let's backtrack in 2013, where the first seed of real estate was planted. We were looking for a house before we got married. and my real estate agent was Danella Swanson Muniz.
Yes.
She's an amazing agent, and when we are looking for a house for me and my wife, throughout that process, she mentioned, hey, you would be awesome in real estate. So, I gave it a little thought and brushed it off and just kept doing my thing in transportation. I was making decent money, so I was happy. I was able to provide and some, so and then able to save on the side. So, I wasn't necessarily looking to change at the time. Over time, we built our house in 2016, moved in 2017. In 2018, we had our third child, Chloe. And being in a new house, doing the same thing over and over, transportation, waking up at 4 a.m., coming home after 6 every day, being tired all the time. In the mornings, I would also dispatch as well. So there's a lot on my plate. I was responsible for multiple drivers, 20 plus drivers early in the morning, and then we'd have another dispatcher that would come in. But I would do that while I'm driving and dispatching.
Wow.
So I did that for that many years, and eventually I just capped to where I couldn't break that ceiling of making any more money, really. And I was when we were building our house, I also started another business. So in 2016,
very entrepreneurial here.
Yeah, very driven.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just things came throughout life, right? Things happen, and then I was able to look at it and understand it, and I was like, how can I benefit from this? How can I take advantage of it? So while we were building our house, we didn't hire a builder, so I subbed everything out. And I noticed, because I had no idea what I was doing, a lot of help I had from my brother-in-law from Georgia, and I appreciate his help to this day, but he led me through the process. But I noticed when I would hire a subcontractor, he would come give us a bid, and then his guys would do the work, and he would pay them, and then he would keep a percentage. And I said to myself, why can't I do that? It's easy. You create a business, you find the guys you trust, you give them a job, and you take 20-30%, and you don't have to do any of the work, some of the work, estimates. But for me, that felt like it was no work. It was easy. So I again opened an LLC. It's called DAS Contracting and Remodel. And the first year it was slow. I had a few calls, but nothing busy. Second year and third year started blowing up. Decks, kitchen remodels, bathroom remodels.
And is this in 19 now we're talking?
2018.
18 and then 19, okay.
Yep, so it's mostly 17 and 18 and then 19. It's still going on to this day.
Yeah.
So, I go out, I give estimates. We've done a lot of projects. I try to stick to decks now because the profit margin is huge there. And the guys that I work with are amazing and they do a great job. So I'm also in real estate now, so that does not allow me that much time to be out there and doing that many estimates. So in 2018, end of 2018, I was getting burnt out by my job. I hit a ceiling for multiple years, and I'm always trying to figure out what I can do next. How can I make it to that next level? So that seed that was planted in 2013, I did some research and I was like, okay, real estate, Danella. So I called Danella and I said, hey, Danella, I'm trying to get my real estate license. Would you help me? Would you take me on? I have no idea what I'm doing. I had a lot of support from my wife, from my family. They said, yeah, you would be amazing in real estate. You're a people person, and I love talking to people. So it was a no-brainer for me. Also, I had a lot of background now in construction.
Right.
So I understood the process, and it felt like it was a good fit. So while doing transportation, still I got my license, and I did that. I actually started it online, And I realized that I was not learning much. So I quit and went and did my real estate for 1 year, or for 1 month, for 1 month, the classes, and then went straight in real estate after that. And that was a huge life changing for me because I was so used to getting, paid every 2 weeks. And now I'm not.
Right.
And I didn't know if I was going to sell anything or when I would sell anything. But, when I do something, I like to do my research. All my research told me that if you don't go in 100%, you're not going to make it. Or at least you're not going to get to where you reach your goals that I wanted. And so I talked to Danella, got my license, got into real estate, and she helped me the first year. I think I sold 13 homes my first year.
Okay.
So it wasn't anything huge, but it was great because at least I was doing something.
Absolutely.
Second year was double that. Third year was last year, so that was over 50 properties or transactions, 22 plus million in volume. So it was a whole different life experience, and I love it. So that's how I got to this point.
That's how you got here.
Yeah, and it's really cool to hear because you can kind of see the trend throughout your different jobs too. Of yes, you do your research beforehand, but you also just kind of like jump in and give it your all and learn as you go, and you've been successful.
Right. And I think learning as I go is one of my favorite parts. It's rewarding.
Yeah.
It's rewarding knowing that, hey, I didn't know this, now I do, and I can use it moving forward.
What would you say when you guys came, or you specifically coming to the United States, what challenges did you face?
So, I was young, so it was mostly my parents.
Yeah.
Major challenges, I would say, imagine having two young kids, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and just leaving everything behind.
Yeah,
moving to a different country, not knowing the language.
Right.
Not knowing where your next paycheck is coming from, or literally anything. So they went through a lot. I remember there were times where they were counting quarters and pennies so they can pay 98 cents per gallon to make it to church on Sunday. Also watching them and their work ethic, just working day and night. I think that helped me see it and go through that. Also sticks to me to this day. Also knowing how hard my dad worked even before we came to the United States. He would work all day, all the way till midnight, come home, sleep for 4 hours, wake up at 4 a.m. and do it all over again. He did that for many, many years. So that stuck with me. When he came here, he wanted to go back right away. He came here and realized that he was nobody here and he was somebody there. At least he was able to provide. And I can't imagine for now being a husband and a father not being able to know or to provide for your family. So it was stressful. But eventually my mom and dad went to school. They learned English. My mom now has a degree in nursing. She works at a hospital. My dad is doing transportation, and they're doing very well for themselves. So those challenges were hard, but they didn't give up. And
it instilled you kind of to who you are, like in your story of, right, like you not only entrepreneurial, but you never gave up. You were, hardworking throughout your at the age of 14. So
right, yeah,
Absolutely.
You can definitely see that drive and work ethic instilled in you as well.
Right, and I take that because that's what I saw. So I thought that was normal. Even when I was working transportation, I was burnt out. I would, be on the road driving, and I would see people at the mall during a midweek day, and
what are you doing here?
Yeah,
I'm
like how are
wondering.
you not at work right now?
Right, and I'm like, what do these people do that they can afford to be at the mall on a Wednesday at 2 p.m.? I was used to working 24/7, and even then it's like, but I understand most people live paycheck to paycheck, and we did also. I just didn't, my mind couldn't wrap around being able to have a job that you can create your schedule and you can provide and have more than enough, and that's where ultimately I wanted to get to. And when we were cleaning those houses with my mom, they were huge houses, right? And I remember thinking that one day I will own a house like this. And that was kind of one of those goals that I put in for myself. And that's why I wanted to build for so long and just create a house that I want to, and know that I created that. I decided, I built it, and it's mine. And now I did that, and it just feels great. That was one of my accomplishments that I wanted to as a kid.
Yeah, that's very cool. So with your different positions, you've obviously had a lot of different experience with the cleaning, transportation, fixing cars, contracting, all of that. I think a lot of times people get very afraid of change and different opportunities. And it doesn't have to be something as big as switching career paths, but it could be something like maybe if you want to switch a brokerage or join a different team, and you're faced with the opportunity to change a lot. But I think a lot of times people shy away, even if it maybe is right in the moment. So what advice do you have for people regarding being open to change and new opportunities?
Yes, that's a good question. So if you don't try, you already failed. That's the way I look at it. If you're not out there trying something different, if you're not happy where you're at, then you're never going to change the way your life is going or where you want to be. So try it. This is the greatest country with the greatest opportunities, and nobody's there to not let you succeed except yourself. So if you just put that fear aside and just take that step, and you're motivated and you're consistent and you stick to those daily goals, you'll eventually reach anything you want to. That's what I realized about being in this country is don't be afraid of the next opportunity, and don't let it slide by, because that could be the greatest thing that's ever happened to you.
I love that.
I love that. Besides like your parents, right? Is there other people in your life that have helped you, like personally or professionally in your network, that have like impacted you on your career and like has helped with your success? And besides Danella, right? Because I think like she helped introduce you to real estate.
Right, right. Yeah, they, Dave and Danella. So Danella took me under her, and she was a huge help. I think as far as real estate, most of what I know is started with Danella. I'm grateful for her. She's a great mentor. And the family I have around me and friends, I like to have friends. Most of my friends are always motivating. So I don't have friends that put me down or say you can't do it. And that helped a lot. So
because you are like the same, but I think it's to be true. You are who you surround yourself with, right? So if you're surrounding yourself with positive people or like-minded people, right? Like you're going to have a positive mindset. But if you're surrounding yourself with, I don't want to say bad people, naughty people, but like, right, you might not make the best of choices.
Yeah.
And that sounds so cliche, but so true. Like absolutely, who you surround with is who you are, really, and who you will become. That was another thing that I took and implemented. Also, I was always trying to be in the same room or in a room where people are doing better than me or more than I am. Even as a kid, I would always hang out with older kids. So that helped instill, that do more, be more, you could do more, you just have to want it. The people around me helped a lot. They're always motivating. My parents, my wife, my friends, professionally, everybody I worked with. If I saw somebody that was not motivating, I just moved on.
And that's a good point too when you're talking about who you surround yourself with, because it's not even necessarily that like if you surround yourself with bad people you're going to do bad things, but it's like if the people you surround yourself with are just so comfortable with where they're at, that's not necessarily a bad thing for them. But
right.
if for yourself you want to try new opportunities and to like grow more outside of where you already are, it helps 100% to be around people who are also looking for new things to try out and new growth opportunities.
Right, and absolutely, and that's awesome. And I've been doing that and have always been looking for who else can I align myself with, who's selling 100 homes or 600 homes a year, and how can I get in that room and have a conversation with them?
Or specifically your brokerage, right? Like, there's different brokerages that offer different things, right? So how can you utilize that to take it to the next level? Or your team as vendors, how can you utilize that to grow together and along those lines?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I have a lot of friends in real estate that are doing much better than me, and that's why we're friends. And they motivate me every day, and I think a lot of that has to do with who you surround with, absolutely. Brokerage, friends, professionally or personal, that's huge, who you surround with in your life.
Absolutely. I loved the advice that you gave about being open to new opportunities. If you had any other advice for agents regarding whether that's the network that you surround yourself with or anything, what would it be?
I think those small goals that you make yourself do every day are so important. Don't deviate from those. So set small goals or daily goals and stick to those, even if it's for years, because eventually those small things turn into big things. And it sounds easy, but it's not. If you get lazy one day and you just want to give up, no, that's not an option. My first 2.5 years, even 3 years, I was in my office till 2, 3, 4 a.m. trying to research on how can I better myself? How can I be a better buyer's agent, seller's agent? What are other people doing? So my advice is stick to those little things, implement them every day, be consistent, and don't give up. And if you don't give up, you will eventually see results.
Love that. Mic drop.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
Really social media mostly. So Facebook, Instagram, Google. If you Google my name, you'll find me. But social media has been a huge factor of my business. That's where everybody knows what I do.
That's how we met.
Yeah, right. So Realtor Slava on Instagram is shoot me a message, and would love to connect with anybody that has any questions, or if anybody is afraid or scared or wants to change career paths, I'll buy you a coffee and let you know how I did it, and maybe motivate them to take that next step also.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.